For 10 years, I was completely obsessed with Sarah. Everyone in my life joked that I basically couldn't function without her, but the moment I saw yet another set of compromising photos of her with some random guy, my feelings just evaporated. I didn't feel angry or sad. I didn't bother asking her why she was messing around with another man, and I certainly didn't go running to my parents to cry about it. Instead, she was the one who panicked and tried to explain herself to me. "It's not what it looks like with him, David. If you don't believe me, I can call him right now. You can ask him yourself." I just reached into my bag and handed her the divorce papers without any dramatic flair. "Just sign this. Then we can both do whatever we want." She looked at the papers like they were written in an alien language, her grip tightening until her knuckles turned white. "I never wanted a divorce, David." "Well, I do, Sarah. I just don't love you anymore." "David, there are reporters camped outside the building. Should I create some kind of distraction so you and your driver can slip out through the underground garage?" My assistant, Marcus, was watching me from the corner of the office, looking absolutely terrified that I was about to lose my temper. I put the document down on the desk and looked up at him, genuinely confused. "Reporters? What for?" Marcus swallowed hard. "It's about Miss Sarah, sir. She's in the news again." "Sarah? Again?" For a second, it didn't even click. "The internet is saying that last night she was with a male streamer," Marcus said, trailing off and looking at me cautiously. I ignored his worry and picked up my phone. A quick check of my social media feed confirmed it. Rumors about Sarah were the #1 trending topic. I clicked on a random post, and the first thing I saw was a blurry photo of Sarah holding a glass of wine in one hand, her other arm wrapped loosely around a guy who clearly spent a lot of time at the gym. According to the articles, the guy's name was Kyle, an influencer on a popular streaming platform. Apparently, Sarah was his top donor and had sent him millions of dollars in digital gifts over the last 6 months. I looked at the photo, nodded, and said, "Not bad. Her taste is getting better. This boyfriend is definitely better looking than the last few she picked." Marcus stared at me, his jaw practically hitting the floor. "David, you're not angry?" "Angry? Why should I be angry?" I asked, really asking myself more than him. I was actually surprised. Why wasn't I mad? Looking at the picture of Sarah, I felt like I was looking at a total stranger. Sarah was my wife. Everyone knew I was crazy about her. In the past, whenever a scandal like this happened, I would have a breakdown, crying and yelling. But now, seeing her with another man, I felt absolutely nothing. It was like looking at a face I recognized but didn't know anymore. That's when it hit me. The person I cared about most had finally become a nobody to me. I didn't love her anymore. The feeling was weird, like a heavy backpack had just slipped off my shoulders. I felt light, almost happy. Marcus's voice brought me back to the room. "David, should I have security clear those paparazzi out?" "No, let them stay. You can run." "But you can't hide. I didn't do anything wrong, so why should I be the one sneaking around?" I put on my sunglasses, grabbed my briefcase, and headed downstairs. Just as expected, a swarm of reporters was waiting at the main entrance. The second they saw me, they rushed forward, shoving microphones in my face. "David, what do you think about Sarah and the streamer Kyle? What's your impression of Kyle? Did your wife spend the night with him yesterday? We hear Sarah has gifted him a fortune. Do you have any comment on that?" I adjusted my sunglasses and answered each question calmly. "That's their business. I don't have an opinion. Kyle seems like a decent-looking guy. As for whether they spent the night together, I really wouldn't know since I wasn't there. Our finances are separate. How she spends her money is her problem. I don't object to it." I kept a small, polite smile on my face the whole time. There was none of the hysterical, angry breakdown they were hoping to capture. This wasn't the first time I'd been cornered by reporters over Sarah's mess. But before, I'd always been a wreck. After every one of her affairs, my miserable face would end up on the front page the next day, making me look like a fool. Maybe my reaction was so weird that the paparazzi thought I was faking it. One of them actually reached out and yanked the sunglasses off my face as a dozen cameras flashed in my eyes. But the face they captured didn't have dark circles or red eyes from crying. The flash is a bit bright. Can I have my glasses back, please? I smiled and held out my hand. The reporter looked annoyed, but shoved them back into my hand. My picture still ended up trending online. In the photos, I looked well-dressed and calm, totally unbothered by Sarah's cheating. The media started guessing that maybe we were already divorced. Some said I must have stopped loving her a long time ago. The comments section was buzzing. Have you guys noticed? For the past year, David has been focused entirely on his career. He probably stopped caring ages ago. True, you barely see them together anymore. He used to be glued to her side 24/7. Is David finally ditching that train wreck? Thank God. He's finally done being a lovesick puppy. Reading through the supportive comments, I quietly liked a few of them. I went back to work as usual. I had just taken over the JM group from my father last year, and my schedule was packed. The whole drama with Sarah and Kyle was quickly pushed to the back of my mind. I didn't reach out to Sarah at all. She, however, couldn't seem to sit still. For the first time in forever, she came to pick me up from work. I had just finished a meeting with a client. As I walked out of the conference room, Marcus told me Sarah was waiting for me in the lobby. I glanced over. She stood up as our eyes met. I looked away, smiled at the client, and walked him to the door. Sarah hurried after me. David, have you been busy? I nodded, then turned to my employee. Olivia, let's go over that proposal again. Only after giving the instruction did I turn back to Sarah. Yeah, a bit. Did you need something? Sarah had been staring at me since I left the meeting, as if she didn't recognize who I was. No, it's just... we haven't seen each other in a while. Want to get dinner tonight? I booked that Italian place you like. Sure, but you'll have to wait. I have another meeting. With that, I walked back into the conference room with my team. By the time we finished, it was already 7 o'clock. Sarah was still waiting. When she saw me, she tried to joke. The great CEO is a hard man to catch these days. It's tough just to schedule a dinner. I gave a very corporate apology. Sorry, things at the office have been crazy. Let's go. I barely spoke on the ride there. She drove while I closed my eyes and rested. I was genuinely exhausted. David, don't you think we've been distant lately? You don't talk to me anymore. Look at our texts. How long has it been since you messaged me? There was a hint of whining in her voice. I used to be the one sharing every little detail of my day with her, only to be met with silence or a dismissive, "What's the big deal? Can you stop being so boring?" On our message thread, our last exchange was 3 months ago. I didn't even open my eyes. Just been really tired lately, sorry. David, Sarah sighed. I feel like you're intentionally pushing me away. Well, you haven't reached out to me either, have you? She seemed shocked. It was always me who started the conversation. She only ever messaged me for urgent logistics. She'd taken my effort for granted. It made sense. She was used to being the main character in everyone's life. You used to have so much to say, she muttered, sounding annoyed. I didn't reply. Seeing my silence, she finally got to the point. That stuff in the news recently, it's not true. David, are you mad at me? No, you're overthinking it. I knew you were still mad. I was just watching his stream, thought it was funny, so I sent some gifts. Then he said he had an offline event and I just happened to be in the area. You really don't have to explain to me. I rubbed my temples and cut her off, my patience running out. I truly had no interest in any of this. The obvious coldness on my face seemed to scare Sarah. She stared for a moment, opened her mouth as if to say something, but then stayed quiet. The rest of the dinner was boring. As we were about to leave, Sarah asked if I wanted to go back to the villa in the hills together. The villa was our marital home, out in the suburbs. Her parents had given it to us, and I had spent a ton of time renovating it. After we got married, we barely spent a few nights there. We only ever went back for holidays or to host guests. After the wedding, Sarah kept living in her luxury condo downtown, saying she wanted her space. Living in that huge villa alone was too lonely, so I eventually moved back to my own apartment. Now she was suggesting we go back there together. Without even thinking, I refused. I have meetings with suppliers tomorrow. I should just go back to my place. Sarah's face fell, and she looked at me suspiciously, but I didn't care. Are you busy? If you are, you can go ahead. I'll have my driver pick me up. David, can we please talk? Talk about what? I feel like you're being really negative right now. Now that I was being cold to her, she seemed to be the one who couldn't handle it. I pretended to be confused. I don't feel that way at all. Actually, I feel incredibly motivated. My dad was just praising me yesterday. I'm talking about your attitude toward me. I'm sorry if that thing with Kyle caused a misunderstanding. I can explain. I smiled back at her. There's no need, Sarah. I really don't care. She looked a little frantic, thinking I was holding a grudge. If you don't believe me, I can call him over. Nothing happened between us, I swear. My phone rang. It was my driver telling me he was outside. After hanging up, I grabbed my bag to say goodbye. She grabbed my wrist. David, you've changed. She was right. I had changed. I don't know exactly when it happened, but I'd stopped revolving around her, stopped caring about every little thing she did. But wasn't this what she wanted? I used to put her first in everything, and she repeatedly told me to stop being so clingy. Now I'd finally done it. And she still wasn't happy. But it didn't matter anymore. I peeled her fingers off my wrist one by one. People change, Sarah. I do, and so do you. As she stared at me in shock, I walked away without looking back. Sarah started trying harder, checking in on me every day, but I just felt grossed out. To me, her current thoughtfulness felt fake and desperate. I suddenly realized that even being alone with her felt awkward. We had nothing to talk about, and I no longer had any desire to share things with her. I finally began to seriously think about ending it. Maybe it was time for a divorce, but the thought of our families made me hesitate. The person who finally made me decide to divorce Sarah was Kyle. I had never met the guy, but because Sarah started distancing herself from him, he directed his anger at me. He went on his stream, teary-eyed, talking about how his relationship with his #1 fan was being torn apart by a powerful third party. The guy's logic was twisted, but he had a lot of fans who didn't think for themselves. The comment section was filled with people attacking me. Some even said nonsense like, "The one who isn't loved is the real homewrecker." Marcus furiously showed me the video. I watched Kyle's performance and laughed because I was so mad. I immediately forwarded the video to Sarah. "What is up with your boyfriend? Can you please keep me out of your drama? If you want to divorce me and marry him, I'll sign the papers right now." Sarah called me immediately, insisting she'd just stumbled upon his stream, found him funny, and treated him like a friend. She'd sent a few gifts, but was ignoring him now. I told her to make sure he never bothered me again, and she agreed. Apparently, Sarah and Kyle had a huge fight. She later told me it was handled. I didn't ask for details, nor did I care to, but I never expected Kyle to go on stream again, this time falsely accusing me of hiring people to threaten him and his family. He claimed I was using my money to bully a self-made man from a humble background. He painted himself as a poor victim oppressed by a rich jerk, and it worked on a lot of people. Kyle was a big influencer with millions of followers. His words started a fire. His stream and videos were viewed and liked by tens of millions, and a wave of hate crashed down on the JM Group. A few people pretending to be customers even showed up at our corporate building with banners protesting fake problems with our products. All sorts of accusations were thrown at us. Even my parents, who were traveling abroad, heard about it and called to ask me what was going on. My grandfather founded this company. Now that it was in my hands, only we knew the hard work that had gone into it. I didn't care if Kyle wanted to date Sarah, but if he tried to mess with our business, I wouldn't tolerate it. I immediately called the police, sent our products to the Quality Control Bureau for testing, and publicly released the official reports confirming they were fine. At the same time, I had our legal team issue a cease and desist letter and file a lawsuit against Kyle personally. The streaming platform banned his channel. I took the initiative and messaged Sarah. "Are you free? Let's meet up this afternoon." She replied instantly. "Yes, I am. What do you want to eat? I'll make a reservation. I'll pick you up tonight." When we met, her face was beaming. "David, What made you want to have dinner with me? I actually have something to discuss with you. During dinner, I casually brought up Kyle. So, how are things with you and that influencer boyfriend of yours? David, he's not my boyfriend. Yesterday, I got some pictures of you two out at a club. I thought you were going to marry him. Kyle had somehow gotten my social media handle and used a fake account to send me a bunch of photos of him and Sarah getting cozy, including one he took while she was asleep. I passed my phone to Sarah. These photos aren't fake, are they? Sarah's expression shifted several times as she looked at the pictures. She carefully explained, I went to a bar with some girlfriends a few nights ago. I don't know how he showed up. I'd had too much to drink and he was just helping me. I just watched her quietly. I couldn't care less what their relationship was. I had made up my mind because I realized that as long as I was tied to her, I would always be dragged down by her mess. A leopard can't change its spots. She would cheat again and again, bringing me endless trouble. My entire focus was on the company now. I didn't want to be distracted by this anymore. I really didn't contact him. He just showed up. We didn't do anything. If you don't believe me, I can call him over. You can ask Wendy, too. I took out the divorce agreement and handed it to her. Let's get a divorce. As for assets, our finances have always been separate. What's in your name is yours, and what's in mine is mine. The rest of the details are in the contract. No, you should take a look. Sarah stared at me, her face full of shock. She gripped the papers so tightly her knuckles turned white. David, are you serious? Her voice shook. Yes, sign it and we'll both be free. Why? I know I was a jerk before, but I never thought about divorcing you. Well, I want to, Sarah. I don't love you anymore. She let out a sad little laugh, threw the agreement on the floor and grabbed my shoulders. Why? You've loved me for 10 years. How can you just say you don't love me anymore? You're right. I loved you for 10 years. And how did you treat me? No one waits forever. 10 years is long enough. It's time for it to end. She looked guilty, her eyes begging. Can we start over, please? Didn't you always want to see the Great Rift Valley? And the Serengeti? Tim won. I'll book the tickets right now. She looked at me with hopeful eyes. Going to Africa was a dream of mine. We had planned to go there for our honeymoon, but thanks to her, that honeymoon never happened. I've already been to Africa. She looked stunned. When? With who? Why didn't I know? 3 years ago, after we got married. I went alone. Her shoulders slumped as if all the air had been let out of her. Her face went pale, and she managed a bitter smile. I'm sorry. That phrase was so cheap. The time she hurt me the most was the year we got married. I was 24. Even though it was basically an arranged marriage, I was incredibly happy. Our families knew each other well, our social standing was equal, the wedding was huge, and I loved the house her parents gave us. Everything seemed perfect. But I never imagined that the day after our wedding, I would become the joke of the entire city. The night our wedding of the century ended, someone posted an intimate video with Sarah online. It included several clips of them in bed. At the end of the video, the man claimed, while crying, that they had a child together, born via a secret surrogacy. The baby was already 3 months old, and he didn't know what to do, so he was asking the internet for advice. He also posted the child's birth certificate and a surrogacy agreement. The moment I saw that video, my blood ran cold. I never thought that the happiness I had fought so hard to protect would leave me with nothing but lies. The man showed up at our door with paparazzi behind him, demanding Sarah take responsibility. He gave her 2 options: divorce me and marry him, Isham, or pay him $100 million in child support. But Sarah wasn't interested in either. She just tossed the problem to me. David, what do you think we should do? I stared at her in shock, my voice shaking. Don't tell me you expect me to help you raise your ex's child. She said marrying you was just something she had to do, the man sneered, seeing Sarah's shameless refusal to take responsibility. He was trying to provoke me to get me to quit. She doesn't love you. She couldn't marry her dream guy, so she just picked someone her parents would approve of. Then who is her dream guy? I thought he was just making things up to get what he wanted, but he said a name I never expected. Ryan. His birthday is October 14th. That night we were together, she stayed up until midnight just to send someone a happy birthday message. The way she talked about him, her eyes were different, so full of affection, like a schoolgirl with her first crush. That's when I learned that the wild, carefree Sarah could be so devoted to someone. David, you really love her, don't you? But she doesn't love you at all. She doesn't deserve you. I'm different. I only love her money. His words sent me into a pit. Ryan. Of course I knew Ryan. He was a few years older than us, and we used to play together as kids. In my memory, he was always smiling, a straight-A student, the role model our parents always told us to look up to. Ryan's family had moved their business up north, and the whole family went with them. I hadn't seen him since. I'd heard he went abroad, settled down, and had been married for years. Looking at the man in front of me, I saw a faint resemblance. His eyes. They looked a lot like Ryan's. Sarah had been the subject of rumors before, but there was never any concrete proof, and she always cut ties cleanly, so I'd assumed they were just misunderstandings. I started thinking back to her past rumored flings, and I realized they all had something in common. They all resembled Ryan in some way. It was like waking from a dream. I was shaking with rage. I grabbed Sarah by the collar. So it's always been Ryan? Why? What's wrong with me? She never stayed up until midnight to wish me a happy birthday. She couldn't even remember my birthday. It turned out she did have a heart. It was just already full of someone else with no room left for me. Faced with the truth, I started laughing and crying at the same time. Her eyes were cold as she peeled my hands off and smoothed the wrinkles on her clothes. Can you stop being so dramatic? This has nothing to do with Ryan. With all these reporters here, have you thought about how much trouble you're causing for him? Fine, I get it. I won't mention him again. You'd be heartbroken if his precious reputation got even slightly tarnished, wouldn't you? I looked at her, my heart shattering. I slapped her hard across the face, then stumbled to the garage, got in a car, and drove away. The paparazzi's cameras captured my pathetic escape. Within 2 hours, I was a trending topic. I hadn't done anything wrong, yet I was being paraded around online like a clown for everyone to mock. I wanted to get away, to escape to some country where no one knew me. The honeymoon tickets had been booked long ago and were non-refundable. I grabbed my luggage and headed to the airport alone. I was gone for half a year. Other than regularly checking in with my parents, my phone was off. I saw the sights of Africa by myself, on the plains of the Serengeti. Witnessing the raw reality of nature made my own heartbreak seem much smaller. When I came back, Sarah apologized to me and wrote a formal letter of promise in front of both our parents. I chose to forgive her. My father had asked me if I wanted a divorce, if I wanted to cut ties with her completely. I hesitated. Yes, I was pathetic. I had loved her for so many years, and the thought of becoming strangers was just too painful. But even after forgiving her, I wasn't happy. The fact that she almost had another man's child was a thorn in my side. The slightest movement made it feel like I was bleeding internally. Seeing me so depressed, my dad told me to start coming to work with him. He said he was going to gradually hand the company over to me. Our company was 50 years old, founded by my grandfather. 2 generations of hard work had built it into what it was today. I remember my dad taking me on a factory inspection. He told me, "We have over 200,000 people working in our factories. You have to work hard, and you have to be careful with every step you take. This factory isn't just about the family. It's about 200,000 families. If it fails due to bad management, that would be a terrible sin." My father clapped me on the shoulder. "From now on, this responsibility will gradually become yours. I hope you can shift all your focus onto the company." I started going to work with him, visiting the factories, meeting clients and distributors. The busy schedule did a lot to pull me out of my slump. Sarah was still photographed with other men a few more times after that. I made a scene a couple of times, but I never felt that same soul-crushing pain again. Maybe I was numb. Or maybe I knew that the root of the problem wasn't the men she was with, because they all carried a shadow of Ryan. And it wasn't Ryan's fault either. He probably had no idea he was someone's first love. Sarah picked up the agreement again and smoothed it out in front of me. David, we've been together for so many years. I don't want it to end like this. I'm not signing this. I had expected her to refuse, but my mind was made up. If I had to, I would just spend the time and sue for divorce. As we were stuck in a standoff, Kyle burst in. Sarah, I knew you'd be here. Sarah's face darkened. Are you following me? I just happened to have plans to meet a friend here, Kyle said, his voice weak. He shot a nervous glance at me. Sarah just frowned, annoyed and confused. Actually, it's good you're both here. The three of us need to clear the air. I sat back down and motioned for them to sit. I was the one who had asked Kyle to come. After getting banned from the streaming platform, Kyle had tried to stream using other accounts, but nothing worked. Facial recognition technology is pretty advanced now. The platform locked his profile the moment he appeared on camera. The stream would be shut down. He was used to a rich lifestyle funded by big donations. With his income gone, he had to find another way. On top of that, our lawsuit for his lies was heading to court soon. He was facing possible jail time and desperately needed a lifeline. Of all the people he knew, Sarah was his best bet. He wasn't about to let her go. He'd been messaging me on social media every day, trying to provoke me into a divorce. I couldn't wait to be rid of Sarah. If he could get her to sign the papers, I would owe him one. David, there's really nothing between us, Sarah said quickly, trying to distance herself from Kyle. I threw my hands up and looked at Kyle with fake sympathy. See? Miss Sarah doesn't seem to know you that well. Did you call me here just to humiliate me? I know you're a rich kid. I can't compete with you. But everyone knows your marriage is just for show. You've been sleeping in separate beds for ages. If it weren't for your family, do you think Sarah would even give you the time of day? I sighed internally. If he wanted to win her over, he should be charming her, not just attacking me. I pulled a stack of photos from my bag and tossed them in front of him. Take a look. These are all the other guys your dear Sarah has had flings with. You're not the first, and you won't be the last. Notice any similarities in how they look? Kyle picked up the photos, looking puzzled. You're all just stand-ins for her first love, the one she could never have. David, stop talking nonsense. I don't have a first love. That's all in the past, Sarah shouted. I ignored her and kept my eyes on Kyle. The one who's refusing to sign the divorce papers is your dear Sarah, not me. I pushed the divorce agreement towards Sarah again. Sign it, Miss Sarah. Then you and your little boyfriend can fly off into the sunset together. Sarah snatched the papers and tore them to pieces. Stop this nonsense. This is between us. Why are you bringing an outsider in to watch the show? You see? She's the one who won't let go. Sarah, is what he's saying true? Kyle bit his lip, looking at her with a pitiful expression. I stood up, grabbed my bag, and patted Kyle on the shoulder. She's all yours. With that, I walked out of the private room, carefully closing the door behind me. I could hear Sarah's furious shouting from inside. David, what is the meaning of this? Later that night, Kyle sent me a video. The footage was explicit. He was bragging. See, Sarah still loves me as much as ever. I smirked and saved the video. For the next few days, Sarah didn't contact me. Instead, I got a call from my father-in-law. David, when are you free? It's been a while since I've seen you and Sarah. It's my birthday next week. You two should come over for a family dinner. He had watched me grow up and always treated me well. I couldn't refuse, so I agreed. On the day of his birthday party, all his old friends were there. He pulled me to his side and bragged about me to everyone he met. I knew several of the other uncles as well. We moved in similar circles, and they chatted with me warmly. The atmosphere was pleasant. A little while later, Sarah arrived and stood quietly by my side. One of the uncles joked with her. Sarah, why aren't you hanging out with the other ladies? She smiled, glanced at me, and replied, David's here. Look at that. You two are just like newlyweds, thick as thieves. We only borrowed your husband for a few minutes, and you're already here to claim him. It's true. Sarah has really grown up. Women just mature later, don't they? They only figure out what they want when they're older. A few years ago, Sarah was always driving people crazy. Look at her now, so composed. The uncles went on and on, praising Sarah. My father-in-law just smiled. It's all thanks to David's patience. I was never happy with anything that girl did, but when she started dating David, I supported it 100%. Sarah, you better take good care of your husband from now on. No more making him suffer. Look at all the crap you put him through. Only David would tolerate you. Their jokes made me uncomfortable, but I couldn't say anything. I just had to smile and play along. I know, Dad. I'm working on it, Sarah said. She came over and took my hand. I tried to pull away, but she gave me a pleading look. David, haven't you always wanted to meet Mr. Henderson? He's here today. I'll take you to him. Mr. Henderson? You used to complain about never getting a chance to talk shop with him. Then I remembered. The Henderson she was talking about was Ken Henderson, an industry titan I deeply respected. I had wanted to meet him for a long time, but never had the chance. I had mentioned it to Sarah once. Ken worked with my mother back in the day, she explained, seeing my confusion. He went abroad for a while, and when he came back, he settled up north. But they've stayed in touch over the years. But back then, when I was losing my mind over a problem with our company's product, I had told Sarah how much I wished I could consult with Ken. She knew him then, but she never offered to help. Now that our company's problems were solved, the need wasn't as urgent. Still, always eager to learn, I went with Sarah to meet him. Sarah stayed by my side the whole time, playing the part of the perfect, loving wife. Even Ken praised her for being more driven than before. As we were leaving, Sarah looked at me hopefully. It's getting late. The traffic back to the city will be bad. Why don't we just stay at the villa in the hills? The villa was only a 20-minute drive from her parents' house. Stay where? It's not like you don't have a room here, her father chimed in. You two haven't been back to see me in ages. David can keep me company tonight. I felt awkward. If I stayed, I would have to share a room with Sarah. But faced with my father-in-law's earnest look, I couldn't bring myself to say no. Just then, my phone rang. David, bad news. There's an emergency at the office. We need you to come in personally. I put the phone on speaker, and Marcus's frantic voice sounded jarring in the warm, friendly room. I let out a sigh of relief, hung up, and looked at them apologetically. I'm so sorry. Something came up at work. It must be urgent if they're still there this late. I should go. I'll drive you. Sarah pulled out her car keys and walked ahead of me. I followed her out the door where my driver was already waiting. My driver's here. You've had a long day. You should stay here and spend some time with them, I said. Sarah looked disappointed. She let out a long sigh. Your driver got here fast. You just don't want to be alone with me, do you? I stayed silent. Is there anything I can do to make you come back? No. Can we please start over? No. With that, I got in the car without a second glance. It wasn't that I hadn't given her chances. I'd given her countless chances. I'm never signing those papers, never! Her voice came from behind me. I scoffed and shut the car door. The next day, I gathered my thoughts and called my father-in-law to tell him I was divorcing Sarah. All I heard on the other end was a long, tired sigh. After a long silence, he asked, David, I watched you grow up. You're like a son to me. After all these years together, are you sure you want to throw it all away? Besides, she knows she was wrong. She's changing. Can't you give her one more chance? I thought for a moment. All I could say was, I'm sorry. My father-in-law was a good man, but he was still her father. My own dad would only tell me to get a divorce. Hers would always tell me to forgive. The pain from 3 years ago was still fresh. That thorn was still stuck in my heart. Just because I didn't look at it didn't mean it wasn't there. Sarah started acting like a kid, asking for forgiveness, coming to my office every day to bring me meals. I told her to stop many times, but she ignored me. I was busy with work, usually just ordering takeout. So she had her housekeeper cook for me and would drive it over herself. Sometimes she would cook. Whenever I ate something she made, she would always ask, How is it? Do you like it? If you do, I'll make it for you more often. She was acting just like I used to. I used to happily prepare 3 meals a day for her. I, who had never cooked, learned how to make soups and stir-fries. But there was no going back. I brought up the divorce again. Her eyes welled up with tears, her voice raw. "Why won't you forgive me this time?" The truth is, I'm not a forgiving person. I'm petty and I hold grudges. The only reason I forgave you before was because I loved you. I couldn't bear to lose you, so I swallowed my pride. Now that the love is gone, all the buried anger is coming out. Everything about you annoys me. Seeing my silence, she laughed bitterly. "I suddenly feel like I don't know you anymore. Are you even the same David I knew?" The truth is, you never knew me at all. Sarah still refused to sign. I went back to the villa in the hills and packed up all my things. I just wanted to be done with her as soon as possible. Before I left, I looked around the empty house, feeling a little sad. When her mother bought us the house, she told us to decorate it however we wanted. I had studied design, so I designed the entire house myself. I hired a construction company and spent every day with the workers, obsessing over every detail. It took over a year to get the house exactly how I wanted it. While I was decorating, I dreamed of a life with Sarah, of the family we would have, of happy days spent together. But on our very first day living here, her affair hit me like a brick, and this place became a monument to my heartbreak. I handed the divorce case over to my lawyers and took my team to Europe for a business trip. By the time I returned, 6 months had passed. Thanks to Sarah's refusal to cooperate, the divorce still wasn't finalized. As for Kyle, he and his fans were found guilty of slandering me and the JM Group. Kyle was sentenced to a year in prison. The fans who had caused a scene at our company all got 6 months to a year as well. The day I got back, Sarah somehow found out my flight details and came to the airport to meet me with a bouquet of flowers. She looked worn out after 6 months. The moment she saw me, she rushed over, her face lighting up. "You're finally back. David, I've missed you so much." Anyone who didn't know us would have thought we were a loving couple. She reached out to hug me, but I stepped aside. "It has been a while." Her face fell, looking sad. "Honey, I missed you." "Miss Sarah, you shouldn't use that name so freely. If I remember correctly, the second hearing for our divorce case is coming up soon, isn't it? Are you that desperate to get rid of me?" "David, who are you talking to? Who is this? Aren't you going to introduce us?" A nice female voice came from behind me. A stylish woman was standing by my side. I laughed. "My soon-to-be ex-wife, Sarah." She nodded at Sarah. "Elena Rossi." Elena Rossi's reputation was huge. She was the only daughter of Henry Rossi, the richest man in the city and head of the Rossi Group. She was a genius, outdoing her peers in every way. She went to a top foreign university at 14, and after getting her PhD, she founded her own investment firm. In recent years, every project she invested in made huge returns, making her a star in the investment world. I had met her by chance on my trip. When I mentioned our company's industry, she happened to be interested and said she wanted to tour our factories. Sarah's face changed. She pointed at Elena and demanded, "Are you divorcing me for her?" I laughed. "Sarah, Miss Rossi and I are just business partners. And let's get something straight. I didn't even know her when I filed for divorce." Elena frowned slightly, looking Sarah up and down. "David, this is your ex-wife? She has a mountain of her own scandals but has the nerve to spread rumors about us? How pathetic." Sarah's face was pale, her fists clenched tight. Her eyes looked like they were about to shoot fire. "David, over here!" I looked toward the voice and saw Marcus waving excitedly. "Let's go! The company car is here!" We turned and walked away, leaving Sarah standing there, looking furious. "Do you want my help with your divorce?" Elena asked, seeing my serious expression. "Thanks, but I've got it." I politely declined Elena's offer. "Why? Weren't you just complaining about it?" "The Rossi family has some business dealings with her family. I could apply some pressure. Sarah would probably back down. Our families have known each other for generations. I don't want it to get too ugly. Besides, this is between two families. If an outsider gets involved, people will talk." Seeing Elena's frown, I smiled. Don't worry. I have a way to make her let go. The day after I got back, my family threw a welcome home dinner for me. Sarah came with her father. In front of everyone, she knelt before me. David, I was wrong. I didn't know what I wanted before, but I do now. You're the one I want to spend my life with. Please give me one more chance. My father-in-law's eyes were red as he came over and took my hand. David, just give her one more chance, please. I chuckled softly, leaned in, and whispered something in her ear. She hesitated for a moment, then finally stood up and signed the divorce papers. Since we didn't have many shared assets and I couldn't care less about her family's money, our divorce was finalized quickly. We were finally strangers. We still saw each other occasionally at business functions, but we would just nod coolly. Elena and I quickly reached a deal. On the day of the ribbon-cutting ceremony for our new project, dozens of media outlets came to cover the event. Our new production line used the most advanced technology, and tons of industry experts praised it. I was on the front page again, but this time it wasn't for a personal scandal. It was as a successful businessman giving an interview. After the ceremony, Elena asked if I wanted to grab a drink to celebrate. I agreed. At the entrance to the bar, we ran into Sarah, drinking alone. Her hair was a mess, and she had none of her usual confidence. Elena smirked. I hear things haven't been going so well for her lately. Oh? I was surprised. I hadn't been following her family's situation at all. The W Corporation has cash flow problems. Half of their factories have been mortgaged, Elena explained with a smile. No wonder none of her fake friends are around anymore. By the way, how did you finally get her to willingly sign the divorce papers? Elena had always been curious about that. I just shook my head and smiled. It was nothing, really. I just told her that her first love had also gotten a divorce. If she didn't sign, I was going to send him that explicit video of her and the streamer. That's it? I nodded. Sarah would never want her first love to see a video like that. Whether she ever confessed her feelings to Ryan in the end, I have no idea. Sarah was my first love too. Ryan was far away in another country, like the moon in the sky. Bright, beautiful, and forever out of reach in Sarah's heart. And my own obsession with Sarah, after 10 years of pain, had finally been laid to rest. People can be haunted their whole lives by what they couldn't have when they were young. But eventually something happens that finally sets them free. I raised my glass to Elena and smiled. To a successful partnership.